Who I remember most and who was very dear to me among all the teachers was Prexy, Dr. Lawrence A. Davis Sr. He was a great man, a man that really valued education, and someone who was not necessary in those days passive to the segregationists in the way life was for people in America, in particular in the South. He was very adamant about taking care of his kids, and I remember there was a I can't remember exactly how it started, but there was the governor, I think, wanted to get rid of him, and so we rallied behind our president back then. So boycotts that just started. We rallied right over there at the bell tower, and we made it known that we wanted to keep our president. And but he was very compassionate, very articulate, and very smart. I think he became president at the age of 26, 20 years old. You know, that's phenomenal there. Yeah. So my other teachers, my coaches was, the coach that brought me was Coach Dr. McPherson. Then we had my baseball coach, Coach Spielman. Coach Spielman was very strict and rigid. he was tough, but he was very knowledgeable. He was a fundamentalist. Okay, and he also was the football coach. And then after he retired, Coach Van Nant Johnson became coach. He ended up being Dr. Van Nant Johnson. The assistant coaches were Coach Clemens, who was the scout for the football team, and also head basketball coach. Coach Grant, U.S. Grant, was the defensive coach. He was defensive coordinator. Coach Torrance, was the offensive line coach. And then, other than that, that's probably was the staff. It's Dr. Johnson, Kenneth Johnson, who was head of the Department of Health and Physical Education, was the tennis coach. All very good instruction. All expect you to do your best and no excuses for doing your work. My favorite class, academic, I would say academic, like I probably enjoyed the history classes. I like history. Plus, my brother, my older brother, I'm the youngest, he worked for the Chicago Defender. So I was very knowledgeable about a lot of things that was occurring before our time by riots in America. He told me in the 50s about the Black Wall Street in Tulsa. I don't think many black people was aware of that. My landlord, our landlord, was the first black aviation teacher in America, Khadijah's Coffee. And he made his first airplane. And he was from Arkansas, but they moved to Chicago. And he was the person that was working with the Tuskegee Airmen. So I learned a lot of history about life through Dr. Coffee also. Now, my other teachers here was, I remember Miss Doggett in English. Miss Johnson was the literature teacher. Coach Ballantyne, who was killed in an accident I spoke of earlier, he taught me botany, I believe, yes. Dr. Hammond taught me biology. Dr. Father Hines, they call him, he taught me kinesiology and physiology. And let's see, Dr. Kane taught us chemistry. Miss Johnson taught geography. And another child psychology teacher was, what's her name? I'll come back to her. But then Dr. Moore taught us, he was one of our teachers also. Dr. Alexander was our rotation teacher. Dr. Parker was our math teacher. And one of my favorite teachers also, Mr. Reed. He taught history. I think that was one of my favorite because he taught history in a different method than probably the traditional teachers. He was very knowledgeable, well spoken, and knew a little everything historically. So I think probably all the teachers, one of my favorite non-teachers was Dr. Gibson. He was director of food service. He was a very good man. Our relationship continued back all the way through Chicago. And he's still alive at probably 94 years old or something.